Hey, everybody, and welcome to Monsters Lounge. My name is Jeni.
And I'm Tressa.
Fantastic. I feel like I should have like a catchphrase after that.
Yeah, I feel like we
welcome to
both should.
Monsters Lounge. We're great.
Look,
I need
that's
to
our
work on my
face.
catchphrases.
We both do.
Yeah, a little bit. Tonight's episode is going to be awesome because yet again, I got to learn about something that I don't know that much about. I really don't know that much about much.
Oh, that's not true at all.
That's my catchphrase.
It fits. It falls off the tongue beautifully.
It really does. Welcome to Monsters Lounge. I don't know much about much. All right, vote on that if everyone would do me some kindness to vote on my catchphrase. So tonight we're going to be talking about remote viewing.
Okay.
Which is fantastic. And don't worry, our guest is going to have to explain it to me. So everyone else will either hear it again or learn about it for the very first time.
Hey, that's what we do.
That is what we do.
Sorry, and you're welcome.
And we're going to have a really cool show next week as well, but we'll talk about that in a short period of time after the commercial, perhaps.
Sure.
Yeah.
One of those.
Anywho, so our guest tonight is Michelle Freed, and she is a talented and certified remote viewer and instructor with expertise in controlled remote viewing. Which begs the question, is there uncontrolled remote viewing? We'll get into that too. She has completed programs through organizations like the APP, Right Hemisphere, and Intuitive Specialists, and has received additional training from Joe Monroe. Monroe? Yeah. Michelle is an active member of IRVA and has conducted notable research in the field of remote viewing. Her exceptional work has earned her the recognition, including the prestigious War Collier Prize in 2017. She has published contributions and can be found in publications like the Journal of Psychical.
I'm not reading it.
I know. I can't say it. Psychical. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it'd be a word. Research, the Parapsychology Association, and 8 Martinis magazine.
Delightful.
Yeah. I thought maybe you might like that one. Michelle's talents extend to the world of media, where she appears in the documentary Third Eye Spies and on an episode of Ancient Aliens. She is also the associate producer of the documentary Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot.
Which I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I did know that.
I feel like I may have said that in my...
I did know that.
My multiple descriptions of that. of that documentary, because it's amazing. As a seasoned producer, she played a key role in Art Bell's show Midnight in the Desert and co-owns the Midnight.fm network. Presently, she serves as the producer of Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. In addition to her diverse pursuits, Michelle is the visionary behind LITM Media Inc., where she assists authors and podcast hosts with effective marketing and publicity. Also, she is a really nice lady and an absolute joy to talk to.
Agreed.
So please help me welcome Michelle.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Did I say that? Psychical?
Journal for Psychical Research.
Psychical. It doesn't sound, coming out of my mouth, it doesn't sound like it should be a word, but it is.
No, me too. I know. But I make sure to put it in there to just see if you're,
paying attention.
Say it. If you can say it. You pass the test. It's okay. You got a good laugh out of it. So that's all that matters.
Agreed. It's true. Okay. We have spoken before, but not very extensively about what you do, and I'm very excited to learn. Tell me what remote viewing is, please.
That is such a loaded question.
I know.
She loves those.
You're welcome.
There are tons of people out there, and especially right now, it's a little trendy in our community. And so different people have a different kind of method of how they do remote viewing. And what I'm talking about when I talk about remote viewing, or I say controlled remote viewing, this is passed down from the military. This is what our military used back in the 70s. And it was declassified. It was called Project Stargate. And it was declassified in the 90s. And a lot of those ex-military guys, when they retired, and all the research they did with the government, they were with every three-letter acronym, used a form of remote viewing. They dumped like millions of dollars into research, and you can look it up on Wikipedia to kind of get I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about all the nitty gritty. That would be like a whole show about the research, but just making it real quick. And so in their research, they found, wait, you don't have to be like a special person to remote view. We all can do it. And they just like grabbed this lady and they taught her this protocol, and she was able to remote view. And the idea is to project your subconscious to a location that you're not aware of. They don't tell you. And basically, you report what you perceive. That's kind of like my words of defining it. So, what they used in their protocol was a random number, and they called it a target. It's a target number. And this number represents whatever our question is, the secret question. So, say for example, we're looking for a missing person, and the question is that you want a viewer to sketch and describe the current location of so and so, or sketch and describe the current condition of so and so. They don't know that what I just said. They just get a number, and then they follow a protocol that they learn. And it goes through these phases. That's what I teach. I teach the process, and it's on paper, and there's, and to me, what makes it more scientific-y, I made up that word.
That's a good word.
Is the fact that none of the viewers know what they're looking at. So it's mind boggling when they get kind of hits, and they're actually describing what you want them to be describing. And so with this method, any question you have in the whole entire world, you can ask that question. And so it's really fun coming up with the question and then having the viewers view. So we have done things from serious true crime cases to helping professors and universities fill in gaps in their research. We've helped businessmen predict future outcomes in the stock market, or fun gamblers that want to know the sporting events, or horse racing, and they want to put bets on that, or even asking a question like, I was offered a job in another state, should I take it? And then we do aliens, we do Bigfoot, we do anything you can imagine. We can do that with this method. So that's kind of the quick and dirty description of it.
So if you can do that, that sort of thing can be predicted, why aren't every one of these remote viewers, one, best friends with Bigfoot and hanging out with him all the time, and two, very, very rich?
Okay, and I actually have an answer for that. So the reason why is because we are human. And so Joe McMoneagle,
the worst.
Joe McMoneagle, the person that we met, he said to me one time, he said, Michelle, if you want to be a world-class remote viewer, you need to give up what it means to be human. And I was kind of like, what the heck is he talking about? Like, I have to think he's wise because he's older and has been doing this. So there's something to this. And what I kind of figured out, because I'm also have a background in hypnosis and I study the brain, what happens is we have this left brain and we have a right brain. And anytime we're using our intuition or our subconscious, we're in the right brain. And this evil, terrible left brain, I don't mean that though.
A little bit.
It wants everything to make sense. And so what it does is it looks for patterns in everything. even though it could be wrong. It draws conclusions, it makes assumptions, it just throws us off. But when we're operating from the right brain, this is where we're kind of this antenna, and the information that we get, because the subconscious doesn't understand language. The subconscious only understands symbols and emotions, and those are accurate. When you start adding language and start trying to find a vocabulary to describe things, things can be a little wonky. So here is an example that I use all the time. So, and a lot of people use this, but so if I say to you, and here's the thing, when you're remote viewing, you don't want to name anything, you just want to describe. And that is to keep engaging the right brain by describing things, because when you get into naming them, you're going left brain. So until we as these humans can evolve to this place where we can quiet the left brain and like wake up the right brain. So the problem is when we not the pro well the process is when we're remote viewing, we do get a lot of hits, and there are people making a lot of money, and there are people helping the police, but it's just not reliable yet. We have to keep pushing through this. So back to my example. So if I said that I'm perceiving something red, shiny, and round, and I'm like, okay, red, shiny, round. Oh, my left brain's like red, shiny, round apple, because we're thinking of the pattern, red, shiny, round, that usually is an apple. But if you're working on a missing person case, and red, shiny, and round is actually a truck that's near this missing person, you would have missed um, that very important detail. So what we do is we just stick to descriptions, and we just say red, shiny, round. We don't draw a conclusion or make an analysis of what we're perceiving. We just go with red, shiny, round. And that's pretty much why, to answer your question, because we're human and we haven't been able to balance the left and right brain.
Well, it would track to me also that, or like what I'm getting, what I'm pulling from that is that when you start to have like these sort of schemes and plots and looking for a specific goal in mind, you would be using a lot more of your left brain rather than living in the right brain. So you have no idea if it would even be correct. And it's just like a gamble, right?
Well, when you're doing the training, it's the training is approached like a martial art.
Mm-hmm.
When we're training everyone, we are kind of, not literally, but like wash on, wash off, that kind of thing. We are approaching it like it's a martial art, and it does, take practice. You do have to practice. And
Right.
and what happens is the more you do it, and then you get what we call feedback. Feedback is when you finish your session, and then we tell you what you were looking at. When we practice, we'll do like pictures or something like that. We'll tell somebody to describe the picture we're going to show you after your session, and then we'll email the picture. And then what they do is they take their session and they look at the picture, and they can see when they had hits and when they had misses. And that at that moment is when you start learning so much. This is the moment. I've had a class, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a full moon or what, but after the first time they tried their session, they all started to cry, even the men. They nothing against men crying, but I just didn't expect
Bunch of
like the
babies.
whole entire class. They're like, "It works! It really works!" And I was like, "Okay, all right."
Yeah.
Listen, I like to make this the portion where I talk about myself.
Yes, please, because then I want to go back to my question.
So I just went through a past life regression hypnosis session last week, and I was asked to go to my death of one specific life. and all I could see was an orange blob. And I was like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. This is boring and dumb. My earring just broke. What does that mean?
It means that you bought
$2 earrings. And he's like, okay, well, let's look at that. Let's go further. Are you looking at something really close? And it turned out it was me, like my eyes adjusting to daylight. It was not like I wasn't looking at something. It was just my eyes adjusting. I love the idea of just observing and not trying to analyze it. Just say what you're observing, because so much is going to come out of that if you keep pulling at the details.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask something similar about like if that, like when you start to assign emotion to things, like if you were looking for a specific person and you knew the story, or you were looking for lottery numbers, if you assign emotion to that, like how much it affects the outcome.
Right. So we don't, what the emotion just comes to you when you're perceiving something. So really part of the process that we're teaching is to engage in our senses. So what does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? What colors do you notice? What shapes do you perceive? We give ourselves command if we feel like we're in front of some kind of doorway or kind of threshold. We say, if you feel comfortable, move across the threshold and describe what you perceive. And so we keep it really down to that. Very low level perceptions, just very low. And that's pretty much how we kind of walk through our session. But the structure of the session helps you move and navigate through what you're supposed to be doing at different stages of the session. And what's really cool is, and what it makes it sciencey, is the fact that you actually have paper with sketches. Like we did the Murdoch case. Remember that guy in, I think was it South Carolina or North Carolina? He's an attorney, and there's so much scandal. I think he was.
Yeah. There was like a documentary or something about that as
Yeah,
well,
there's a
right?
bunch of documentaries. He's in
Yeah.
prison, but there's a whole bunch of other crimes around his family. So this woman, that's one of my clients, she was writing a book and she asked us to help her fill in some gaps. And it was interesting because, of course, I didn't tell my students that they were doing this case. I did say it's true crime because out of respect for them, because if they go into like something, something they don't like, at least they'll be
Yeah.
prepared and they can put up some protection and maybe ask, like, should I be remote view? We're very careful. Like, you ask yourself, is this something in my highest good to remote view? So I give them that option. If they don't feel comfortable, then they shouldn't do it. So I do just say that, but they have no clue. There's a billion cases. Anyway, this one woman drew a sketch of like a bird's eye view of that boy that they found on the street in the exact position that he was found. And the lady who's doing the research had the picture, like it wasn't publicized. She had the picture and held it up against the sketch. And we're like, oh my, it's as if she saw that whole thing. So that was like mind blowing. And then another, sorry, that's a real
It's a
world
sign.
Yeah. It's like, do you know something? Are they coming for you right now?
They're actually coming for me. Like,
Uh-oh.
yeah,
Hey.
I'm talking about remote viewing. And another person who lives in New Zealand, she just had this impulse to write a quote, and it turns out that it was the headline of a newspaper article, exact word for word. So yeah, these are like some success stories that we were. So the author, the researcher, took a whole chapter and took I made a compilations of all the hits. We put it right in her book. And she called me and she's like, Michelle, nobody wants to talk about my research. They just want to talk about the remote viewing. I'm like, I can see that.
It's the best part.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. And it's really cool. Like, when you're well trained and you're ready for anything, that's, what this whole process is. I was caught off guard. I was at, are you familiar with Phenomicon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's usually in August and it's in Utah by
Yeah.
Ranch and all those places, right? So somebody, maybe it was even Dave Schrader. You may know him.
I don't. I'm not familiar.
We heard of.
I don't know who you're talking
not sure.
about.
I don't know.
I don't know. So I kind of worked with him for like 2 years on, but I kind of
not ringing a bell.
Whatever.
I've heard the name, maybe. I don't know. He seems like an all right.
Yeah,
I guess.
Whatever.
He's like one of my biggest fans, like, because he tells everybody, and puts out the word that I remote view, and so I get to work on some projects. So at the Phenomicon, I don't know who did it, but there was a filmmaker there, and he approached me and he's like, I heard you remote view. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, would you be up for doing one now? I'm like, now? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, he goes, I'm making a documentary and I'd really like you to remote view. I'm going to take you somewhere tonight. I can't believe I trusted this, but
yeah, that sounds a little.
I need you to come alone with me, middle of nowhere. Listen, no one will find us. I mean,
It'll be good. You'll be totally safe.
Honestly, I haven't had a proposal like that in many years. So I'm like, okay,
must be legit.
I mean,
so it was one of those things where I was like, why did I say yes? Because I was freaking out because you're put on the spot. And I'm like, I just talked up remote viewing. I'm going to look like the biggest fool in the world. And I'm just like, stick to your training. You can do this. I'm like coaching myself, cheerleading myself. Like, okay. So I went to my room and like about an hour, I just did it. And I just said to myself, just do it, just give it, just don't analyze, just do it. And whatever it is, and you'll deal with it later. So we all meet in the lobby and we had a caravan of a whole bunch of cars going to this place. Now, in my mind, because he didn't tell me what I was remote viewing, but come on, I'm in Utah. I'm near. Was like, but I had to be really.
Whatever could it be? I
know. So I was thinking it could be Blind Frog Ranch, Skinwalker Ranch, or some kind of dinosaur bones. I don't know. So I'm like,
all three I'd be good with, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just kind of separated. I'm like, don't think about that. Like, I really had to be professional and just like set all those feelings, because the truth is, when it's like you don't want to know. It's like, it'll throw you off and you'll have a bias. So I really we do a cool down before, and I spent a long time on my cool down to just get those jitters out, and and just like jump in, whatever, lean into it and just do it. So I did everything I was supposed to do. And so we're taking this caravan, and all of a sudden it's pitch black, or not pitch black yet. It was like dusk, and we're coming up to this location and I start getting chills. I'm like, and I just said to the driver, I'm like, I have chills. Like, I don't know why. He's like, oh, we're there. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I get out of the car and I didn't show anybody my paper yet, because we just all went in the car. And so then I take my paper and I had a big sketch, and I held the sketch up like this, and I looked out. We were on the Skinwalker Ranch Plateau, and I literally drew the plateau as if I had an easel, and I'm as shocked as you, honestly. And it looked like I sat there, like this, like this.
Yes.
And it was okay, so that was great. Yeah, okay. But get this. This is the one. I go, see these things on the bottom of my sketch? These like vortexes of energy coming out of the ground? What could that ever be? And these orbs everywhere? What's all that? And the guy goes, look over there. And I look down on the ground, and there's these 2 Tesla coils, like 2 Tesla coils that they had put there, like, I don't know, 2 days ago to monitor EMFs or PBB, I don't know, whatever
whatever those things do.
Yeah. And then I felt kind of dumb with this, but they had like those things you talk into, the spirit box.
Yeah.
So I'm a little uncomfortable talking to a box. I am. I was like, hi.
Yeah. What do you say, really?
How
as
are
a newbie?
You?
Like, I had pancakes today.
Right. I think I was imagining I'm talking to orbs. I had to have a picture. I had to personify something. I'm like, hi, little orbs. I'm like, are you safe? Like, are you protecting? Like, because in my session, I was like, these orbs are protecting something. That's what I felt like. And I'm like, are you safe? Are you, I'm doing that. And they're like, oh my God, that thing doesn't react to anybody. It's only reacting to you. And I'm like, really? Oh, I get a new pet? I don't know.
I love everything about that story.
Oh my gosh. And then they filmed it all, and it's going to go into some documentary or I don't know what. But I was just like, holy smokes. Like, to me, anytime anybody shows interest, because that's my mission, is that every single person needs to be doing remote viewing, because it's going to really help your life. It's going to enhance your life and just push us through this threshold of who we're supposed to be as humans, like pushing us through that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. It's all the stuff we haven't been using for I don't know how long.
Yeah. And we have more questions about that after this quick break.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? Have you or your family ever seen a spook, spectre, or ghost? Then Haunted Magazine issue 41 might just be for you. In issue 41 we have The Enfield Haunting, an interview with Dave Schrader, Danny Robbins, and lots more. Out now in stores, app stores, and online at bit.ly/Haunted Magazine. Remember, don't be normal, be paranormal.
The Oregon Bigfoot Festival and Beyond is back and bigger than ever at Oaks Amusement Park, Saturday, June 29th. Meet Bigfoot hunters like Ronnie LeBlanc of Discovery Channel's Expedition Bigfoot and Paranormal Caught on Camera, and paranormal investigators like me, Dave Schrader of the Holzer Files and the Paranormal 60 podcast. Join us for a day of family fun celebrating Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs, and everything beyond. You never know what you'll find. Don't miss the Oregon Bigfoot Festival and Beyond, Saturday, June 29th at Oaks Amusement Park. Get tickets today at OregonBigfootFest.com. OregonBigfootFest.com.
The Oregon Bigfoot Festival. Oregon Bigfoot Festival.
Listen, we needed to run those commercials because that is the last opportunity that we have to run the Oregon Bigfoot Fest.
Why is that?
Because it's this weekend coming up.
I'm so excited.
And I don't know, there's been some cool people who were asked to speak there and who were guests and who were vendors and all those things. I believe I heard the aforementioned Dave Schrader.
I don't know who that is.
Well, anyway, and Tressa and I will also be there. Nobody asked us to come.
No, but we'll be there.
We're going to go there.
It's only a matter of time.
I mean,
we're going to go there. And you come see us and say hi and watch us annoy Dave Schrader
A lot.
a lot.
He's going to look so irritated all Saturday.
Is he gonna bring his little doll? That thing
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I don't like it when he brings those. I don't. I do not. I don't like the dolls. They creep me out. So anyway, anybody in that area or going to that fest, please find Dave Schrader, and we will be the ones annoying him.
Dancing behind him with our hands.
That's pretty much how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we do.
Back to it. But listen, I'm very excited about this because this is something that, okay, everyone can do. This is amazing to me because and Tressa, she's got some sensitivities and stuff, and she's doing the past lives, and my brain's like, nope, you got nothing extra.
Which is insane.
But everyone can do this.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing is that it's people that think they can't do it can do it. They end up, a lot of times I'll do like an experiment thing where we just do a quick and dirty one, and just so that they can see that they can do it, that they get stuff. So if I go and speak somewhere or have a little workshop or whatever it is, I'll do something because I feel like there's nothing better than having your own experience with it. There's no other way to explain that it does work and that you can do it except for doing it yourself. And so, yeah, it's very cool stuff.
Now, all the questions and sort of like the guiding and the keeping everybody focused on just observing things, is that the controlled part of controlled remote viewing?
So I think it's control. I do think that we need to figure out like a whole nother name for it, because the truth is we're not really viewing, we're sensing.
Oh.
I mean, this word controlled or just remote viewing has all come from back in the 70s when they first, started working with it. But now I think as we're moving into the future and doing a lot of research on what we could be doing with this into the future, because that's what a lot of the experiments that I have conducted can show us what the possibilities and how to use it. And so, yeah, I think that that's, moving forward, I think that's where we need to be going with it.
Now, is this the same thing as like transdimensional viewing?
Transdimensional is what I teach,
Okay.
and it is basically the same. So I didn't finish. I think I had a thought that came in. So controlled remote viewing, I think what it means compared to other people that say I'm a remote viewer is that we use pen and paper, we sit down and we have a structured kind of format. Okay.
Controlled environment, like
Yeah,
an
like
actual
a
science-y.
And what it's good for is, and what we kind of use to our leverage to speak to scientists and PhDs and people that have a hard time thinking out of the box. When we have this evidence written down and we follow these rules kind of thing, it's easier for them to like listen to us. And one of the reasons why we do, it's called ARV, which is another form of remote viewing called associative remote viewing, which is what I described earlier. It's when you have a binary target. So that means like you're betting on something, so it's over under, or you're doing the stock market up or down, or the red dress or the blue dress, or anything like that. And when you put money with it, like you're earning money, that gets a lot of interest from people. And then they will listen to what you have to say. So those are all kind of things that our goal was to get the attention, but it's actually working and people are making money, and things like that. There's a lot of research and things like that where people have made a ton of money from doing this. some of our experiments had hit a 62% hit rate. And so it's definitely beyond significantly, so it if it's anything over 50%, this is something to pay attention to, and it's consistent. So even with mistakes, we are still hitting that mark above 50%.
Wow.
So yeah, and so that's how that is. Then there's this other group of people that do remote viewing where it's just as important. It's just different. What they do is they can tune in to something and just describe. So if they're like, oh, I'm going to tune into my sister, what is she doing right now? And then they can just kind of tune in and imagine what they're doing right now. And then they get hits on that too. So they're still using their psychic, but what controlled remote viewing is, we have a whole entire structure around it, which is really, really helpful. The transdimensional systems is it was created by a woman named Prudence Calabrese, and she came up with this protocol in the 90s when it was declassified, and it was more geared towards civilians. So I want to say like user friendly, and we're still evolving this based on the research. So the military, they were very much like butts in the seats, sitting with a monitor and doing their thing. Well, now we're kind of moving into the future where I'm like, get your butt out of the seat. I want you to walk around. I want you to feel, what is the ground like? What's under you, what's over you, like, what does your body feel like it wants to do? So now we're engaging our body, which gives us really dynamic details, and it helps us get there. So I think the whole idea of evolving remote viewing to really, like we talked about in the very beginning, getting that left brain to kind of lay low so your right brain can get all the yummy details. So that's pretty much, so transdimensional systems is what I teach, and that's what we're doing. We're kind of engaging our whole entire bodies. Sometimes we're like, okay, get into the position with the structure and describe. So one time, you guys would appreciate this story. I didn't know this, but I was remote viewing the Patterson-Gimlin footage.
What?
Come on now.
Shush.
I had no clue. And what was like, and of course, when I tell you these stories, I'm telling you my biggest lessons about how I'm still human.
Gross.
So I had a monitor, and we were kind of doing it over Zoom. So it was just like practice. And so he tells me, okay, here's your number. He gives me a random number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. And then I start doing my thing. And all of a sudden, I'm like, female subject. And he's like, okay, describe. And I'm like, okay, wait. And I wanted to change it to male because it was so humongous. And I'm like fighting with my left brain. And I'm going, no, it's a woman. No, it's a man. No, and he's ready to call the therapy because he thinks I'm schizophrenic because I couldn't, but I'm like, no, stick to it's female. It's definitely female. So he's like, okay, stand up. And I felt like when I stood up, I felt like I was so much bigger than me. I was like, whoosh, getting up. And then he's like, okay, touch your body. And I'm like going like this with my arm all the way like that. Like, wait, I'm really hairy. And I kept going like this, and it just kept going. And then at a certain point of describing, I'm like, is this Bigfoot? I just kind of figured it out, not on purpose, but it was pretty obvious. And just went into like all this stuff describing. So then I finished the session, and I was really glad that I didn't change my mind about it being a female, because specific, the Gimlin Patterson, I'm sure you know, they suspect that it's a female. And to me, that verifies it. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like that verifies. I had no idea I was doing Bigfoot.
I'm trying so hard not to say pendulous breast right now.
There it is. You were mouthing the words, and I thought that my finger pointing would stop you, but it didn't.
No.
I
I just
that was
love that
coming.
Patty has boobies. I'm sorry.
You didn't do the right signal for the boobies.
And there is no right signal. I will mention them every time.
No,
It's my favorite detail.
I try, but if I'm not in the same room, like,
Even then, come on, let's be real.
yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, because part of me wants you to say it because it's funny.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's great. I love it.
Crystal Goff in the chat is like, please tell me that footage is real. Yes, Crystal, of course it is.
Come on now.
Nobody can make that suit in 1967.
Yeah.
No one can make it now.
Debunked.
Yeah.
It has not been debunked.
Yeah.
And
Also, who are you talking to? I'm gonna say, like, I mean, yeah.
With
You
regard
could
to
you could find a costume, and I'd still be like, nope, it was real.
yeah, I know.
yeah, that's you, Jen.
What is the saying from X-Files? You want to believe?
Oh, I want to believe. Yeah, so many things.
Yeah, so many. So and that's what's so cool. We worked with we worked with Homeland Security back in 2019. They asked us, well, of course we didn't know, but they basically wanted to know the top threats to the Olympics in 2020. And so I had done my session, and the first part of my session, I was perceiving some kind of land and water interface and something that looked like a disaster, like debris everywhere, and I couldn't get a feel if it was like weather related or explosive related. I wasn't sure, but it was chaos. And then my session kind of blended into this idea of a computer virus. And so then I'm, like in some kind of office and in front of a computer and perceiving a virus or something like that. So handed in, and then we never heard back. Sometimes we never hear back. And then in 2021, I think it was. Yeah, 2021, I'm doing my dishes. And I was like, oh, yeah, like we did that session on the Olympics. Like, and then it dawned on me that, and this is the left brain. I said a virus, didn't I? I was talking about a computer virus because my left brain wanted it to make sense. At the time of 2019, we weren't thinking about viruses in organic viruses. We were, if someone said virus in 2019, you wouldn't think computer, like hacking or something. So my left brain hijacked that session and said computer virus, but it's like my right brain was trying to tell my left brain virus, 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 and my left brain was like computer virus. Yeah.
Your left brain sounds like a nerd.
I know. It's so nerdy. Goody two shoes and all that. But yeah, that's like, this is what we have to overcome. And and I just love teaching my class, and my whole goal is that I really want to put a team together because I get so many emails with people needing help, like they're missing things or they just want to know stuff. Tom DeLong, do you remember Tom DeLong? I don't know where he went, but he also hired us to remote view some stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then NASA hired us, put us up in these retreats and paid us a lot of money, NASA scientists, and they were looking at climate change.
Oh.
So those are the serious, but we had, my fun ones are like aliens and bases on the moon and Mars. And are you familiar with the Baltic Sea anomaly?
Oh, yeah.
It's like something, yeah, in the ocean, in the Baltic Sea, that they saw from a satellite. And it looked,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So I asked my students, so if you guys take my class, which I invite you to take my class, um, just forget about this. But forget that I told you this, but you won't know when I'm going to give it to you. But I just asked the question. Well, you don't know that I'm asking the question, but what I'm asking is it man made or natural?
Oh.
Everybody says man made.
Oh.
Yeah, but listen, you guys. I can finally find out if Megalodon still lives.
Jeni.
We could do that too.
Oh!
You know what else we could do?
What?
Tressa, you would love this. I can ask you to remote view a past life
Oh.
and bring back a skill from that life
What?
that can make this life better.
Wait,
That's a
okay.
thing
okay.
you can do?
Okay.
Hang on.
Can
All
we
right.
pull like language from past lives? Like say, I don't know, I was Dutch.
Sure. You got a question? We'll find an answer.
Oh,
That's
my goodness.
very cool.
So you can go into and remote view your own past lives and then bring things back.
Yeah. It's all about intention. Your intention. Yeah.
We got to take this class, man.
Yeah, what?
Tressa, we
You
need
know-
to sidebar and
Okay,
talk
hold
about this
on.
class.
Hold on, everybody.
We got to take this class.
Okay,
We
let's
still
take
got to
this
do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So one of my favorite things, my favorite examples of remote viewing, it may have been one of the first times that I had ever heard of it, and I think it was from Art Bell, most likely, was a CIA, what's it called, the FOIA release of someone remote viewing Mars in the year, like billions of years, not billions, but millions of years ago. You guys, go look it up. It's available on the internet. It is mind-blowing. This planet...
What happens?
It's Joe McMoneagle. And
I love it.
Oh,
look up the YouTube Joe McMoneagle Mars. I think that will help you. And you'll see his session. And it's crazy.
It shows the session? I've only read the whole file about...
No,
oh my God.
Sketches and all that stuff. Yeah.
okay. So we'll find it and share it to our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
We also remote view Skinny Bob. You got to check out Skinny Bob.
I don't know what Skinny Bob is.
Why do I just automatically assume it's the character from The Simpsons?
No.
Oh.
It's one of those, some Russian, I think it was released by somebody, nobody knows who, and it is another one that hasn't really been debunked yet. It's an alien called, and they named him Skinny Bob.
Oh!
Yeah, Tressa, you should have known that.
Shirt and the big head.
Yes.
So we remote viewed that too.
What'd you come up with?
More of his emotions. He was, yeah, it was interesting. We all, for some reason, were tuning into his emotion. We had like 3 people doing the session. It was weird. But he was feeling irritated. He was feeling abandoned. And
all valid.
Yeah, all of this stuff. Like he was left here and a little angry, annoyed, all that stuff. And I'm trying to remember what other... I didn't get a ton, but other people got a ton of information on that one. But
how mad would you be if you got left here? If your alien,
you have to talk to somebody's government? Yeah. No, thank you.
Absolutely not.
And then he's like locked up, like he can't like roam the streets.
What did he do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, right. He just kind of, yeah.
Man. It's a terrible alien practical joke, if that's what that is.
Yeah.
Let's leave Bob down here.
Poor Bob.
Seriously.
Skinny Bob.
That is wild.
Yeah, that was weird. So, yeah, I think that it's It's cool. And then here's another thought, like, um, so this one where you predict future outcomes. So the idea is that when you're working on a session where, say, it's a stock market or a baseball game, and you're peeking into the future to find out who won the game, right? So if we can do that, what we're doing is we're peeking into the future and then we're sending the information back to the past. So it's like a loop. I guess my next question, I'd like to know, like, I'm going to turn this on you guys, what you think. If you could change a future outcome, would you? So, for example, like, if you were, you did have this choice where you got offered a job and you did choose to move, and then that actually didn't go well. But if you can look into the future and see that, would you have changed your mind and picked, the other side? The other.
Absolutely not.
Okay, why?
Because I would make a worse choice. No, everything happens for a reason, relatively. I feel like if I were, this is very much on my mind a lot. Everything that feels terrible will usually have an outcome that's probably for the best. I don't want to mess with stuff that's already in play like that. I feel like everything has already been written to some extent. We all have free will to go here or there. But something like that, like, no, what if I make a worse choice by doing that? No, 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 no. Jeni?
Well, okay, so things like that I wouldn't change, right? If I could make change a mistake or something, or an error in judgment, because yes, I very firmly believe that everything you've done makes you who you are, and the effort and the growth as a human is to like who you are in this space right now. Then I think about like the very specific family member that I would kill to have like more time with, right? Like, what if I knew that was coming?
But that's
Obviously
more of a
it would.
good thing.
I know
That's
it would
like,
mess everything up, and like then I would be kind of a different person, and who knows what would have happened after, obviously. But that is real tempting. If that was like an offer on the table, I'd be like, I don't know, man. If I could spend a little bit more time with that person.
And this is because we also have remote healing. And so we have a protocol that we do healing. And did we move up?
We
Oh.
like
we're leaning
healing.
in.
We enjoy healing. Do tell.
So getting to your point is the same thing. Like, my philosophy on healing is that too, is that people are given whatever it is for a reason, for them to go through something. And who are we to take that away? But sending love and energy and healing and all that stuff, I think, is really important. And the fact that you can use remote viewing as a tool, it's called remote influencing, or we call it MedApps. And so that's another protocol that we do to help people, to locate the origin of a discomfort, or an origin of something that's going on with them. Like, if they have stomach issues, then our intention is to find the origin of where that's coming from, wherever it leads us. So it
Yeah.
could lead us to an emotion, it could lead us to a past life, it could lead us, like, nobody knows where it would lead. But the whole idea is to go to the origin of it. So yeah, everybody should be remote viewing. Yeah. Like, let's do it.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm totally in too. So can you go back and observe moments from your own life?
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. Yes. One of the things, it's all about intention. And so, how I would recommend to do it is, because you don't want to bias it. So you don't really want to know what you're remote viewing. So what I do is I take a whole bunch of questions I want answers to, and I just stick them in like a bag, and I just pull out a number, And then I do my session, and then I open up and see what I remote viewed. So if you have a specific date that you have, you can say, describe what happened on this date, or, answer whatever the question is or whatever. And that way you can stay blind to the question, and then you can do your session and then get your answer.
Got it.
So
I have a feeling I'd be dumb and be like, oh, I wonder which one this is. I bet I know which one this is. I'm going to just try and see which one this is.
I know that
All of my questions would be centered around the same person, so that I would be like,
other
either way.
people can remote view it then.
That's
But
what
I'd want to see it. I'd want to see it though. So
listen, we're at that time.
no,
I know it flew by, and I feel like we could do this for another 5 hours, but we can't.
It was so much fun, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Yeah. We are going to have to take the class and then have you back on the show, and you can tell everybody how great we did at the class.
You can tell everybody how great you did. But Perfect. The class is on July 27th. It's on Saturday. And then they can go to my website, butterflyeffectscenter.com. And then just go to the remote viewing page, and all the details are there. And let's do this.
Yeah, we'll have all that information in the show notes, obviously, because that's what we do.
That's what you do. That's good. Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. You'll have to come back because we have more questions.
Oh, so many more questions. We're just peeling back the onion on this one.
Yeah,
that's so great. That's so great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing, guys. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Everybody else, don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Paranormal 16 Network. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our merch on our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. Send us an email or a comment. We love hearing from people. So until next time, thanks for visiting the Monsters Lounge.